Hello, welcome to another episode of the In the Trenches with Gang Green podcast. Today is Monday, April 15th. Hopefully everybody is having a good day so far. We've got a lot to discuss today on the podcast. Thank you as always for those tuning in both on YouTube and of course all the different audio podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Odyssey, all the ones you can think of. We are there. Lots to discuss today. It is a happy day. It is an exciting day if you're a New York Jet fan, as they have released their new uniforms, a massive upgrade from the monstrosity that was released back in 2019. New era, new uniforms, and hopefully an era that has a lot more success than what we saw with the last 2019 Gotham green, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, the green on white. You had the white ones. You also had the black ones. That was a very, very terrible era of Jets football that included two draft busts in Sam Darnold and Zach Wilson. It included an Adam Gase season where the New York Jets went 2-14. A lot of losing and not much winning. Every single season, the New York Jets finished under those while wearing those uniforms, finished under 500. So finally, those are gone. Exciting times. We'll discuss it. As you know, this is episode 296 of the In the Trenches with Gang Green podcast. I thank you, as always, for joining me here, both on the audio platforms and, of course, on YouTube. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. We're hitting a lofty goal of 1,000 subscribers we're hoping to hit here by week 1, September. So make sure to hit the subscribe button. I appreciate all the support, as always. And I'm also doing an Aaron Rodgers new t-shirt giveaway on my Twitter page. So if you haven't yet, go on to there, like, repost it, subscribe here on YouTube, follow me on Twitter, tag 3 friends, and you will be entered to win an Aaron Rodgers t-shirt in the coming days. So make sure to check that out. We'll be releasing that here in a couple days, depending on how many people we get. So definitely stay tuned for that if you want a free Aaron Rodgers New York Jets t-shirt. We're giving one away. So we'll start today with the new uniforms. And of course, it is Monday, so it is a Mock Draft Monday podcast. We'll discuss New York Jets trade up edition of the Mock Draft Monday podcast here. But we've got to start with the uniforms. These are great. Now, we know this for a while. We knew the New York Jets were going to get new uniforms. It was basically the worst kept secret as to when they were going to come out. Multiple leaks came out that it was going to be April 15th, a couple weeks ago. And then this morning, it was confirmed that they were coming out. And about an hour later, they came out. And here they are. A new legacy begins. So on top of the white ones that we saw last year, let me remove my logo here for a second on YouTube so you can get that Jets logo in the corner of the screen, because that is beautiful. These are awesome. Obviously, throwback to the Sack Exchange era. We saw the one that Aaron Rodgers is wearing, and of course the helmets. They are the same as last season, but they added the green ones, which you can see AVT and, of course, CJ Mosley wearing. They also added the green pants, which, of course, you can see Garrett Wilson and AVT wearing. And then the blackout uniforms, which are awesome. Wearing it was Jermaine Johnson. Phenomenal blackout unis. So 3 different unis. Your main home combo in the green ones. Your away combo with the white, although you can honestly wear those at home. They are amazing. And, of course, your alternates in the blackout uniforms. And the New York Jets stated, inspired by an iconic era of Jets football with modern design, our new uniforms pay homage to our past while embracing the next generation of the Jets, 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 Jets. A new legacy begins, and hopefully a lot of winning in these. These are phenomenal. The white face masks on the green tops. The green on white is awesome. Love the white collar on the green jerseys. The green jerseys, I think, might be my favorite. The white ones are obviously cool, but we did see the white ones last year. You really wanted to see what those green ones look like, what the black ones look like. And, of course, we knew what these were going to look like. But seeing them here, worn by the players, we saw the video. You've got to be hyped. You've got to be fired up. The Jet shop is blowing up today, I'm sure, with orders to get some of these awesome jerseys. Garrett Wilson in number 5, a huge year for him, hopefully, coming in. Of course, we see Aaron Rodgers in that uniform a lot more than 4 snaps this season. So An awesome upgrade, awesome uniforms. As we mentioned, we knew this was coming for a while, but finally seeing it, finally see it come real, finally seeing these uniforms being worn by New York Jets by the core of this team. Of course, there's also some photos with Sauce in the uni as well that is on a couple different uh, covers on the Jets website. These are great. Awesome, awesome. A new legacy begins, hopefully a legacy with a lot of success. Now, we talk about the upgrade between, Zach Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. We went from these to these. Huge upgrade. And we now officially retire these uniforms. Finally. And you know what's funny is it's not even how bad these uniforms look. They don't look very good. It's more so just the fact that we did so much losing in them. But they look awful. These uniforms aren't very good either. The logo is pretty boring. There wasn't, the combos were boring. The Peter Griffins were, even the Peter Griffins in these look great. The white on green, even these look great because it's a different shade of green. The helmets are awesome. The white face masks are something that more teams have to do. Here you had the black face mask. Also, let's look at the talent. AVT, Garrett Wilson, CJ Mosley, Aaron Rodgers, Jermaine Johnson, Sauce Gardner as well, who, like I said, isn't on this picture, but he's on a couple other pictures. That's your core here. Let's look at this core. Robbie Anderson, Leonard Williams, Jamal Adams, Sam Darnold, Quincy Enunwa, Chris Herndon. None of them on the team. None of them. And let's be honest here. All 6 of them aren't very good anymore. Leonard Williams has put a nice career together for himself. Of course, he's now in Seattle, but Darnold in Minnesota, potentially backup. Robbie Anderson, depth at this point. Quincy Enunwa's out of the league. Jamal Adams, a free agent. Nobody wants him. He's gone downhill. Chris Herndon, of course, is irrelevant. So you went from this. We witnessed this for 4 years, 4 torturous years. And now we go to this. A new legacy begins. Jets, 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 Jets. Awesome. These uniforms are awesome. I don't know if I've said that already or enough, I should say, because I've said it a lot. But they're great. And hopefully a lot more winning in these than we saw in the last ones. And I think you got to expect that if you're a New York Jet fan, because those last uniforms included an Adam Gase era. They had Darnold, of course. You had the whole Darnold situation. Zach Wilson was put into those uniforms. It's funny. I was talking to somebody earlier today trying to think of a best memory from the past uniforms. I can't think of anything, really. Maybe the Zach Wilson throw against the Tennessee Titans. That was a good memory, but those were in the all-white uniforms. It wasn't even like those were in the green ones. They were all white. I can only think of the first half against the Buffalo Bills where he had the Le'Veon Bell 2-point conversion. CJ Mosley played out of his mind and then got hurt and only played 2 games the next 2 years. That happened. Jets, of course, the wheels fell off. Darnold ended up getting mono, so that really only lasted 30 minutes, the happiness there. You could make the case we only had 30 minutes of happiness in those green uniforms. It was the first half against the Buffalo Bills before Kari Vedvik and company took over and blew the game. That was really it. That was those uniforms era. And I expect a completely different era in these because the roster, and also they look great. Look good, play good. Am I right? So lots to like there. I'm sure many of you do, but if you have any other thoughts, hit me up on Twitter at Buzz52 or here in the comments section. What are your thoughts on the New York Jets new uniforms, paying homage to the sack exchange era, of course, which is one of the best eras in Jets football. And hopefully this opens up one of the best eras in Jets football here with Aaron Rodgers at the helm. So now it is Mock Draft Monday. So moving on from the jerseys, who will wear these awesome jerseys as a rookie this year? Let's get into that. So I fired up 2 mock drafts last week. As I mentioned, was a trade-up edition of the Mock Draft Monday. This week is trade back. I did 2 separate mock drafts. We'll go through them, break down some of my early picks, touch upon the late picks. But I did 2 separate mock drafts, one based off of a report. The other one, I just fired up a mock draft, traded back with a team that I do think could be interested in moving up a couple spots to look at a quarterback, something along those lines. So 2 mock drafts here. Next week, we'll have a full mock draft. Basically, my final mock draft, what I think, what I want to happen. We'll have that next week based upon all the latest reports. And then, of course, all 3 days of the NFL draft, we will have podcasts, we'll have episodes reacting to every single one of the New York Jets draft picks. Hopefully, a draft class that we will look at as a big part of this 2024 team, and not like some previous draft classes where we're kind of scratching our head at. We'll see. The New York Jets have a lot of flexibility, and that's been the biggest thing. So last week we look at a trade up. This week we look at a trade back. That's the type of flexibility that the New York Jets have, and that is exactly the type of flexibility that you want to see the New York Jets have and use it to their advantage. There's going to be some teams in front of them that are looking for a quarterback, that are in need of a quarterback, that want a quarterback, and they have a potential of trading up, and that could really help the New York Jets. So we'll start here with my first trade back edition, because as we know, the New York Jets right now only have 2 picks in the top 100. They have their first round pick, of course, 10th overall, and then they have their third round pick, 72nd overall. After that, they don't pick again until the 4th round pick, 111. So they really only have 2 top 100 picks, 1 pick on day 1, 1 pick on day 2. So the sounds of it, you feel pretty good about the New York Jets moving on, or moving back, I should say, to recoup some of those day 2, day 3 assets. So my first mock draft here was a trade involving the Colts. And I did this based off a report that came out last week that the Indianapolis Colts are looking to trade up with the New York Jets to 10. So the Colts will be moving up from 15 to 10, and they want to move up for Brock Bowers. Now, who knows if that'll actually happen? Who knows how much substance that report is? This time of year, you hear a lot of reports. A lot of it's just, smoke screens and all that stuff. A lot of it's just trying to stir things up, trying to look at different things. That's really what it is. Whether or not you believe it, whether or not you buy into all of it, that's up to you. But the report came out, Colts are looking to trade up. So fired up a mock draft, move back with the Colts. The deal was we get the 15th overall pick. Colts, of course, move up 5 to the 10th. We'll get their second round 46th overall. And we also I was able to throw a 2025 third round pick in there as well. So 3 picks we get. We move on from 1. We move 5 spots back. And with the 15th overall pick, we take Troy Fautanu, offensive lineman from Washington. There is a lot to like with this guy. A lot to like. And if the New York Jets do trade back and take Troy Fautanu, I think you would have to love it if you're a New York Jet fan. I think you would have to be fired up if you're a New York Jet fan if they move back and take Troy Fautanu. Now, if they take him at 10, I think you'd be okay with it. But if they move back and are able to get him at 15, that is awesome value. That is even better than taking him at 10. He had a 75.5 PFF grade last season. He played in 15 games. The biggest thing with him is he's versatile. And there's kind of been a debate around Jets fans as to what type of offensive lineman to take. Whether you take one in the first round that maybe could be a starter, but he's going to sit this year, but you trust him in a game if somebody goes down, which it feels like with this offensive line is inevitable. History tells us these guys up front are going to miss time. So do you take a high pick to have a guy that you really trust to step in, or do you take a skill position, wait on a guy in the second round that maybe needs a little bit more seasoning, maybe needs a little bit more development, and you have him sit, but if he does come into a game, it's not the end of the world. We'll take Fautanu here at 15, a guy that you trust to step up in a couple different spots, and that's what makes him so appealing. He can play left tackle and left guard. Last season, 2022, he was second team all Pac-12 conference, started all 13 games, 12 at left tackle, 1 at left guard. Last year, he played all 15 games at left tackle. In 2021, he played 9 games with 3 starts, 2 at left tackle and 1 at left guard. So really over the last 2 years, you saw a lot more action in 2022 and 2023. He was a third-team Associated Press All-American, first-team all Pac-12 conference. He won the Joe Moore Award. He was given the nation's top offensive lineman. There's a lot to like with this guy, and he was very impressive at the combine. He finished with an estimated athleticism score of 87, which ranks second among all offensive linemen in this draft. And on top of that, when you take away some of his other combine measurables, according to Next Gen Stats, he finished with a total score of 86, which ranked third among all offensive tackles in this draft. So he was second among offensive tackles in athleticism and an 86th overall or 86 total score, which ranked third. So he was really, in a couple different areas, measured out to be one of the better offensive tackles at the combine. And I know you don't love to take a lot from the combine, but you don't need to see how good of a player he was. He's very physical, mauler in the run game. The ability to play left tackle and left guard, the ability to step in and start at left guard like he was able to do in his collegiate career is something that you've got to really value, because if the New York Jets get somebody like an AVT or a John Simpson or a Tyron Smith to move down, specifically those two guys I just named on the left side, you can trust that Fantano can not only step in, but can step in at either position and produce. This isn't like you're going to try and fit a round peg through a square hole, or whatever the saying is, a square peg through a round hole, like the Jets were doing last year, where they had guys playing center that weren't centers. This is a guy that can legitimately play two positions, playing very well on Aaron Rodgers' blind side. The last thing you want is to get thin on that blind side. Fantano shores it up. If you could trade back and take him at 15, I think you love it. Great value for the pick. I don't know if the Colts will do that. Again, this was a report, but based off of this report, if this is the route that the Jets go, I think he's got to be one of your favorite offensive linemen to take. And I think you can make the case he's the third offensive lineman. There are a lot of people, because of the versatility, would take him over Fuaga right now. And I can get on board with that. Just because of the window that the New York Jets are in, Fantano potentially could help you more this year than some of these other guys that can only play one position. This is a guy that can move around, and you can trust in those positions. So trade back here 5 spots. We take Fantano, 6'4", 317 pounds, senior out of Washington. A couple guys the New York Jets, of course, we'll look at here out of Washington. Now we move on here. This is also a part of the trade. Round 2, pick 46, so that we'll get a second-round pick out of this. And one of the more talked about prospects right now in this draft, gaining a lot of steam, that is Ladd McConkey, wide receiver out of Georgia. This is a guy that is gaining a lot of steam, a lot of excitement surrounding him. And if we're being honest here, for good reason. Ladd McConkey, there is a lot of things to like. And I will say this, I don't know if he will fall to 46th overall. In this mock draft, he did. Then again, this is a simulator. This is not NFL GMs making this. I would probably say he doesn't fall to 46. There's a chance this guy goes in the first round. There's a chance the Chiefs may take him at 32. I think he's probably more in the 40 and lower range. Like, I think he's probably a top 40 pick, potentially top 30. Maybe he goes in the 20s. It's possible. It's weird. Really, to me, and we'll get to Brian Thomas Jr. here in a little bit, to me, the wide receiver position is a little different because this year it's more of a, you have your consensus top 3, which is Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze. I get some people think Odunze is better than Harrison. Either way, those 3 are your top 3. Whatever order you have them in, those are your top 3. Then you get to Brian Thomas Jr., which I think is most people's 4th. That's my 4th. And then really 5 is up for debate. Some people really like Adonai Mitchell. Some people really like Troy Franklin. There's some people that love Ladd McConkey and think this guy's a top 20 pick. Some people really value Xavier Worthy's speed and think that he could be a top 20, top 25 pick. So it really gets interesting. It all depends on, of course, what the GMs are. But you're going to get one of these really good receivers that's going to drop past 40, maybe drop to 50, maybe drop to 60. And it's going to be a steal for whoever takes him a little bit later on in the second round. And if you can get McConkey here, it would be a steal. To look at some of his measurables, 6 foot, 886 pounds, or I apologize, 186 pounds, 886 pounds. That would not be a very good receiver. 6 foot, 186 pounds, redshirt junior. He dealt with a little bit of an ankle injury last year in 2023, but in the games he played, he was very productive. Finished with 30 receptions for 478 yards and 2 touchdowns. Of course, missed some time. Had a huge game against Florida where he had 6 receptions for 135 yards and a touchdown. Arguably one of the better route runners in this draft. You love his route running. Consistent, like his route running. Had an 82.6 overall grade last year. primarily out wide. He played 118 snaps, 32 came in the slot, played 118 snaps out wide, 32 in the slot, 150 total. Primarily a guy that can play outside, but his size, that's 6 foot, 186, not overly tall. He does have that ability to play the slot. He's kind of built a little bit like the slot, like a slot receiver. But just an awesome route runner, good hands. You know, you saw what he was able to do last year in a full season where he really exploded in 2022 with 58 receptions for 762 yards and 7 touchdowns. And of course, too, this was a guy that had to share touches with Brock Bowers. You know, Brock Bowers was getting a lot of love a lot of times. And this was a guy that had to split touches, share touches with him. So this isn't necessarily a guy either that was the main thing, main priority, was the number one guy in Georgia. No, Brock Bowers was over there. So a guy that you trust can actually step up as a number 2, because in a way, he was almost the number 2 option at Georgia and was still able to put people on notice, even with a guy at Brock Bowers' caliber playing alongside him at the tight end spot. So Ladd McConkey would be a steal here. He would be a steal in my eyes. He would be. Very smart player, high IQ. The value here would be excellent. I don't know if he'll fall this far. I doubt it, but, you know, I guess we've seen crazier things. I mean, the Jets have done a lot of stupid things. So I guess other teams could do some stupid things. I just don't think he'll fall this far, but you never really know. So now we move on here. Some other picks here. Round 3, pick 72. We go Christian Haynes, guard from UConn. 6'2", 313 pounds. We've talked a lot about Haynes. You know, he was a 2-star recruit in 2018. Played 49 consecutive starts at right guard. To me, I think this is probably the best guard in the draft. I think him, Mahogany, a couple different guys. Fauntano is really, I think, labeled as a tackle. If you want to consider Fauntano as a guard as well, you could put him up there as well. Very good at both spots. But I think Haynes, Mahogany, those are your top guys. Those are, to me, like, if they're going to go guard in this range of round 3, if they're going to go guard here like 72, let's say they go receiver round 1 and maybe go tackle, or a trade scenario like this, and they want to go guard here, I think Haynes is number 1. I really like him. Very good at the Senior Bowl. Has played all snaps at right guard. So a guy that plays every snap at right guard, and it's also beneficial because AVT, while they are freak injuries, has had 2 major injuries the last 2 years. So you don't know. Again, they are freak injuries. I get it. But can you guarantee, I no matter what the injuries are, you can't go out there and say, oh, it's fine, they were freak injuries, he'll play 17 games. No, you can't guarantee that. So from an AVT perspective as well, I think it's good to have somebody that has 2,423 snaps of collegiate experience at right guard. That fits that label, fits the depth, exactly where you need it. So then that's good. I think Haynes would really fit what the Jets want there. You move on here to round 4. We'll go safety here. Dadrion Taylor Demerson from safety Texas Tech, senior. I think I could see the Jets here. This might be a little earlier for a safety. I could maybe see the Jets going more of a dart throw at safety, like at the 6th round. That pick 185, I could potentially see a safety. These 2 picks are going to be interesting. I think round 6, that 185th pick and the 111th pick here, I think the Jets could do a couple different things with it. Also, the middle 4th round pick. The Jets could either go quarterback, maybe running back, and then safety, or safety, quarterback, running back, or running back, quarterback, safety, or maybe they wait for a quarterback all the way to 6th round. I doubt it, because I think they want a Joe Milton, a Michael Pratt, somebody like that, or a Jordan Travis. I doubt Rattler falls at the 4th round. I think they would have to use their 3rd round pick on Rattler. I don't know if they would be willing to do that. Use a day 2 pick on a quarterback. I don't think they would do that. Maybe Rattler falls to them in round 4. I doubt it, though. I think Rattler might fall as early as 2. But we'll see. You take a safety here. Like I said, even with Ashton Davis coming back, it can't hurt to bring in another safety. I know they are 4 deep now, but to bring another safety, compete with Jarek Bernard, Converse, little athleticism back there in the secondary, I don't think it could hurt. 5'10", 197 pounds here. So we'll go safety round 4, pick 111. I'll talk about this guy twice. I picked him in both drafts. So I'll just spoil it. Michael Pratt here, round 4, 134. My favorite, my dream scenario to get a quarterback to be developmental would be Spencer Rattler. I understand the off the field stuff, but I think out of all these quarterbacks in the draft that are going to sit a year, or the day 2, day 3 quarterbacks, I think Rattler's the best. I think Rattler, he's my dream scenario. If you can get Rattler somehow around 4, I doubt it happens. I don't think it is. I think that ship has sailed just because of his offseason. Then you take him. But second, I think is Pratt. I like Pratt. Both these mock drafts, I had Pratt. Is this simulator telling me something? I don't know. Probably not. But it seems like the more and more I do this, the more and more Michael Pratt falls in my hands. So we'll give him his stats once. I'm not going to read him twice. 60.6% completion percentage, 9,611 yards, 90 touchdowns, 26 interceptions in his career. He has had under 10 interceptions and over 20 touchdowns in his entire career. So really a guy that's had a very consistent college career, which is what you like. Junior, 4 years, or 3 years rather, all consistency. You really like that from him. A guy like Rattler had some inconsistency, was supposed to be the number 1 pick, was supposed to be a Heisman, number 1 player, entering college football, all these great things, hit some bumps in the road. How will that translate to the NFL? Pratt's had a pretty smooth college career. So you actually like the chances of how that could transfer over to the NFL. Final 3 picks here. Round 6, pick 185. We'll go running back, 6 foot, 221 pounds out of Louisville. We'll go Isaac Guendo from Louisville, of course. Like I mentioned, there's Guendo. Sorry, apologize. Left the R out the first time. They said that 3 range is somewhere like a safety, quarterback, running back range. The Jets still might add a veteran running back. It's still possible. But, Dalvin Cook wasn't added till August of last year. Maybe they add somebody else. But for right now, Izzy being the 2, not that I have anything against Izzy. I think he's solid. But you didn't see a whole lot from him last year. I think it's fine. I think it's a good idea to bring in another day 3 guy. Dart throw. Bring him in. Provide some competition for Izzy. Maybe add another veteran. Really, the running back room outside of Breece is slim. It's thin. That's just the way it is. So you would like to see potentially another running back selected there as well. And let's be honest here. The Jets they found Breece Hall in the middle rounds. Even Michael Carter never panned out. His first year was solid. The Jets have actually been able to find, I think the Jets have actually maybe had better success drafting running backs than, Breece Hall has a lot to do with it because they drafted him, than trying to go out there and sign running backs like Dalvin Cooks, throwing the bank at, previous example as well, but throwing the bank at Le'Veon Bell. Maybe they catch lightning in a bottle here. And then your final 2 picks, we'll go Garrett Greenfield, offensive tackle from South Dakota State, round 7, 256. And we'll go Jack Westover, tight end from Washington, round 7, 257. We'll make him Mr. Irrelevant. So now we move on to the other mock draft that I did. And like I said, I think this one is more realistic, the one that I'm doing right now. I know the reports are out. I just doubt that the Colts are going to trade up for a tight end 5 spots up. I don't see it. I see this scenario being more realistic because trading up for a quarterback is very realistic. And that is the Las Vegas Raiders, who currently sit at number 13. The Jets are going to have options. Minnesota, Denver, Vegas are all, in my eyes, going to be calling the New York Jets potentially to see where they're to potentially look to trade up. Because all 3 of these teams, 11, 12, 13, while it's not like one of them from 25 is going to be looking to trade up and give you a haul to get inside the top 10, while they are all close and it might just be Minnesota moving up 1, and maybe the Jets, hey, move back 1. It's not going to do much because Minnesota is going to take a quarterback. You move up 1, or move back 1, you recoup a second, you're fine with that. Whether it's Denver trying to get over Minnesota, whether it's Vegas trying to get over both of them, whoever it's for, I think those 3 teams are going to battle a little bit. And I know that Vegas went out and got Gardner Minshew. He's going to want a chance to start, but Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, I think they add another rookie to that room. Of course, the Broncos are in need of a quarterback, and the Vikings as well. Looks like they might add a quarterback to compete with Darnold. So all 3 of those teams could be fighting over one guy, and they're 3 picks in a row. So the Jets are going to have options there. We go with the Vegas. Jets move back to 13. We also get a second round pick, 44th overall, and we'll also get a 2025 third round pick as well. Apologize for that. So very similar to the first one, except this time we go receiver. Pick 13, we'll take Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver out of LSU. This guy was a stud last year. Led the SEC in touchdowns with 17. Actually had more than his teammate, Malik Neighbors. Had 1,177 yards last season, 68 receptions, 17 touchdowns, as I mentioned. He's a junior, 6'3", 209 pounds, as I talked about. In my eyes, the fourth-ranked receiver. Right? You got a Dunze, or you've got Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, a Dunze, Brian Thomas Jr., the rest of them up for debate. You get Brian Thomas Jr., this value at 14, I think you've got to love it. You got to be excited about it. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be somewhere in that 13, 15 to 20 range. I really like Brian Thomas Jr. I like the possibility of bringing him in. He's very athletic, good hands. The numbers, of course, are eye-popping. Talk about the athleticism. He had a 92 athleticism score at the combine, which ranks second among receivers. Athleticism is key. He provides that. Was alongside Malik Neighbors. You saw the potential there. You can almost just envision the potential that he could have alongside Garrett Wilson and Mike Williams. So we'll go Brian Thomas Jr. This is also part of the trade, round 2, pick 44. We'll go Kingsley Suamataya, offensive tackle from BYU. This is also a spot where I think if the Jets go wide receiver, they're probably going to go tackle or interior offensive lineman here. 6'5", 326 pounds, redshirt sophomore, 5-star recruit. He originally went to Oregon and then to BYU. Big frame athleticism. Similar to a lot of these guys, a lot of these day 2 offensive tackles, they've got a lot of athleticism and they've got a lot of raw talent, but they need some grooming. They need some seasoning. And that's kind of what the deal is here with him. 67.5 PFF grade, good athleticism, good size, good, like an interesting build for an offensive tackle. Can play both the left side and the right side. Played 644 games last year at left. Played 687 games at right tackle. So has played 2 full seasons at left tackle and right tackle. So he provides that versatility. He's got a high ceiling. You don't really know how low the floor is, but to take a day 2 pick on this guy, I don't think is bad. You know, him, Blake Fisher, there's a couple guys that you can find in rounds 2 and 3 that need some work, but, you know, provide some pieces. I really like kind of what the Jets could potentially do there. So we'll go tackle BYU here, and couple of different guys in the middle rounds there. Like I said, that, you know, could come in as depth pieces. So we'll go back-to-back offensive linemen here. Round 3, pick 72, we take Dominic Puni, interior offensive lineman out of Kansas. This is a guy we've discussed a little bit on the show previously. Also, when we had Dom C on, who does a great job covering the draft, breaking down all these prospects. Definitely check out his channel and all of his content, NFL draft analyst for the Jets. We broke him down a little bit, talked about him, what he could bring to the table. Really interesting prospect, a guy that I think also, like I said, you want to go, these mid-round pickups could be another one of these really, really solid mid-round pickups. Had a PFF grade last year of 80.6, and similar to Fantanu, can play tackle and guard. He played 848 snaps at left guard in 2022 and played 728 snaps at left tackle in 2023. So basically went from left guard to left tackle. So he provides that depth. He provides, which is big, out of Kansas. I really like Dominic Puni. We've covered him a little bit. It'll be interesting to see kind of where he lands. Like I've said, you have the Mahoganies, you have the Zinters of the world, you know, you have some of the other interior guys such as, you know, JPJ and all those guys. It'll be interesting to see how Puni lands as kind of that tackle guard hybrid. The versatility certainly helps, and I always really like guys that are versatile. He's versatile, played 2 full seasons, 1 at left guard, 1 at left tackle. I think that gives you a lot. Also, we know the injury history like we talked about with Fantanu, with Tyron Smith. You can trust a guy like him to step in. So you move on here to round 4, pick 111, Braylon Allen, running back out of Wisconsin. I'll tell you right now, I talked about this on my Inside the Huddle show that I do on the Bubs on Sports YouTube channel. If you haven't checked that out, definitely go check that out. And we were talking about how you can never go wrong with a Wisconsin running back. And that's going to be the same thing here. Can't go wrong with a Wisconsin running back. 6'2", 245 pounds, 74.90 overall grade. I really like him. 982 yards last year. He had 1,242 yards in 2022, 1,258 yards in 2021. The reason he didn't hit 1,000 yards last year was most likely because he missed the game. So really a guy that he played all 12 games last year. He probably would have been over the 1,000 yard mark. He averaged he averaged at least 5.4 yards per carry in each of his 3 seasons. So a lot to like there. Also a guy that can do some things out of the backfield. I really like Braylon Allen. I think he's actually one of my favorite picks here. If they're going to take a running back here, round 4 with their first 4th round pick, 111th overall, just because you can never go wrong with Wisconsin running backs. And he's a stud. He's a stud. Talked about it earlier. Round 4, pick 134, we go Michael Pratt because the simulator is telling me, maybe it's telling me something. Michael Pratt is going to be there for the New York Jets. We'll see. Round 6, 185, we take Sion Vaki, safety out of Utah. So, like I said, last round we went safety, quarterback, running back. This round we go running back, quarterback, safety. Either way, out of that combination, I think those 3 picks, 2 in the 4th round, then the 1 6th round pick, 185 overall, I think they're going to end up with a quarterback, a running back, and a safety. So that's where we go there. And then your 2 picks in round 7, 256, Trevor Keegan, interior offensive lineman out of Michigan, which I think would be a steal for the Jets if they get him into the 7th round. And then Jackson Sermon, linebacker out of California, round 7, 257. You will be Mr. Irrelevant in this scenario. Talk about watching the draft. We're going to have to watch the draft till the end as the New York Jets will make their Mr. Irrelevant pick late on Saturday afternoon. So that'll do it for another episode of the In the Trenches with Gang Green podcast. As always, thank you for tuning in both on YouTube and, of course, all different audio podcast platforms. We'll have a lot more content coming your way, more mock drafts, any other news, guests coming up. So stay tuned. Make sure to hit the subscribe button on YouTube, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Appreciate all the support as always. We're looking to continue to grow before we get to week 1. A lot of exciting things planned this year for the 2024 season. We'll get that out to you guys shortly. As the season gets closer, we'll reveal some of our exciting plans, but a lot of exciting plans. You don't want to miss it. So definitely stay tuned. As always, hope you enjoyed it. And thanks for watching on YouTube, and thanks for listening via the podcast apps.